In my last video, The PNM Mafia, I presented overwhelming evidence based upon my personal experience that our politicians and police service are actually promoting and protecting criminal activity in Trinidad and Tobago. Also, in my crime fighting fraud video, I showed how our country's media, through omission, perpetuates the lie that this government and our police service are doing all they can to fight crime in this country. Despite these assertions, victims and their families would have a different story to tell if they were interviewed. Our journalists don't interrogate the government nor the police about their strategies and efforts to combat crime. Consequently, this allows the official narrative to remain the de facto account despite the evidence that clearly suggests otherwise. Furthermore, the fact that we have crossed 600 murders just mere weeks before the end of 2024 contradicts this official narrative. On February 8, 2020, a member of our family, Jenny Granado, was raped and brutally murdered in her home, which was located off Touray Road in Redhead Trace, Sangre Grande. To date, no one has been held for her murder. Our media did what they always do when reporting on such crimes, which was to cover the initial story without providing the public with a follow-up to the police investigation nor any noteworthy events that occurred subsequent to their coverage. Regardless, I did my own reporting, which I posted on my website that bears the same name as this channel, Insight News Network. I wanted the public to get a more detailed and accurate account of what occurred, as well as the backstory, which we often never get from our media. I revealed that over the years, Jenny filed numerous reports with the Sangre Grande Police, including the one she made the day before she was killed. I highlighted our family's involvement in finding her missing Samsung Galaxy cell phone at the back of her home, where we believed it was dropped by the perpetrator or perpetrators as they made their escape. The police's forensic team was contacted to retrieve it. And most critically, just weeks after her murder, we provided information to the police about a potential suspect who we learned had in his possession an item that was taken from her home. To our surprise, they claimed they could not act upon this lead. Yet, our Prime Minister and members of our police service chide the public in the press for failing to help the police in their fight against the scourge of criminal activity. We were told by police investigators that they had secured DNA evidence from the crime scene as well as footage from security cameras located at the entrance to Redhead Trace. I followed up on the latter and was told by the head of security for the compound that this wasn't true. The police never came here, he emphatically assured me. Notably, he knew Jenny personally as they talked frequently with one another. Just days after Jenny's murder, her house was destroyed by fire. Arson was suspected because a witness saw an individual leaving the premises immediately after the fire started. Interestingly, no investigation was conducted. I was unsatisfied with the police investigation for a number of reasons. One of those reasons was the failure of the lead investigator to return Jenny's cell phone, which was secured for evidence. Weeks after they retrieved it, the family was told it had no evidentiary value, so we could collect it. After several failed attempts to do so, I escalated the matter to the Police Complaints Authority. However, David West, the head of the authority, closed the case without any resolution. We never got back the cell phone. Neither, after almost 5 years since her murder, has the family been contacted with an update. Trinidad and Tobago, sadly, countless criminal cases are conducted in this manner. However, the public at large would never know this because our media purposefully fails to follow up on these cases, nor do they question the police about the status of their investigations or statements. In fact, our politicians and police know they can, as we Trinis say, give us anything to hold, because there is literally nothing we can do. Again, during my own nightmare scenario, crimes reported to the police were closed without any investigation. I'm not making spurious allegations. I have evidence that this government doesn't want the public to know about, especially so close to our upcoming general election. Towards this end, I allege they have been actively working to minimize my social media presence by curtailing the reach of my videos, because they know it will have a negative impact on their bid to be returned to office. I will leave you with this anecdote to reinforce my point that our politicians and police are not really serious about fighting crime in this country, primarily since it has no direct impact upon them. A couple of months ago, a woman had her handbag stolen from her car while it was parked in the vicinity of the Sangre Grande Health Clinic. Fortunately, some good Samaritans found her discarded documents, minus her valuables, next to a perimeter fence at the Sangre Grande General Hospital. I was able to return those documents to her. When the police made contact with me seeking details about what occurred, I pointed out to them that only 15 feet away from where the items were found were two security cameras in clear view of whomever would have discarded them there. The officers dejectedly informed me that it would take an extremely long time to access the footage from these cameras because police procedures require that they write to the relevant authorities before they could receive permission to retrieve the images. And while they were waiting for this approval, the footage would roll over. I was dumbfounded. How can our politicians claim to be serious about fighting crime when such a simple request by the police to a government-run agency, no less, to access footage that could possibly identify who may have committed this crime is made unnecessarily difficult and protracted? Trinidad and Tobago, if we take God out of our thoughts and return these individuals back into political office, according to our old people, we go eat the bread the devil need. You can find a link to my article on Jenny's murder, her backstory, and subsequent events in the description.